confabulation.
Turning a blind eye is basically coming from a certain, way of thinking. So we need to do something about that. And also so that's why we have this political correctness where you just say things that please people and you are expected to say them. And the politically incorrect is always something that we learn from. I used to have a professor. He died. He passed away. God bless his soul. Professor Abdul Aziz Said started teaching conflict resolution in the 50s at American University in Washington, D.C. The reason why he went into these peace paradigms field is that when he was young, then in the early 50s, originally he's from Syria, his brother died in his arms by the Brits. So basically, or the French, I don't remember, but so basically died in his arms. So he came back and started and went for his studies and studied conflict resolution, started international relations and started teaching peace paradigms. So basically he used to tell us, always explore your doubts more than your certainties. So that's something very important. So I am looking at this field of diversity, inclusion, and equity, trying to sort of make it grounded and trying to make organizations espouse its value without sacrificing sincerity. The Michel Foucault, the very famous French philosophers, used a lot of this concept of aresia, which is to tell the truth, telling the truth. And other civilizations like the Japanese culture, the Asian culture, they have this thing of telling the truth. So you got to really say things as they are without having to turn things into, again, politically correct categories. See, we got to ask sometimes the questions that hurt. So now we cannot make of everything a political. We cannot. They're already running our financial life. Politicians, they're running so we cannot let them run even our linguistic life. We gotta metaphors we live by, but there are metaphors we die by. So we need to sort of keep constantly checking our linguistic mode. So I am working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have to develop sociologically in an authentic way. And, when we see that that is at stake, it's very concerning. And absolutely, this is going to be, I'm sure your book will be taught in a sociology class
I
somewhere,
hope.
ultimately, because this is something that, it does have to be examined and tackled. And more importantly, we need to be aware of it. We need to have our college students be aware that these are, possibilities of where this could go in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That could be very dangerous for us, on so many levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely it will be, and it could be, yes.
And yeah, just it's so interesting that in a sociology class, well, I remember being in my sociology class and learning of the world and the challenges that were in it. um it was interesting to be aware of that. It was educational, but I just don't see things going in really healthy directions
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from where they were
Mm-hmm.
at that time.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, I think that your book is going to be very interesting, very interesting.
I am working towards that. I mean, it's a lot of work, and of course, because when you do any writing project, you have to sort of sit and listen, and you cannot sort of be quick in terms of jumping to conclusions, because it's like the slow food or the slow cooking movement versus the microwave, and that's the difference again between policy memos and then, hardcore academic works, because there are three grand paradigms of dealing with information in general. There is the media paradigm, and the key determining factors in that is basically what they call saliency, expediency. You have to beat other news outlets in being first in bringing the information. So the idea of virginity becomes very important here. So that's expediency, so it's speed. And then you open your TV channel, and then for 1 month you are bombarded with an event of somebody dying somewhere. And then one day you wake up as if this event never happened. We switch to something else. So that's one thing.
I mean,
Second, one paradigm. Second paradigm is the academic paradigm, which is like sort of more, it's slower in the sense that, okay, you have a phenomenon, you're studying racism. It's not, if you take racism, for example, you will see that the media has again some spin, and it has salient. Now they are talking about racist attacks and racist events towards Hispanics, Asian Americans, but this has always existed. Like, why suddenly media wake up one with the media outlets, they wake up one day and then they all agree that that's the agenda setting, basically, sort of, a spin. Other than the spin, there is agenda setting. So that's one. Second, as I said, is the academic paradigm, where the difference is that you compare. So there's an element of comparison in time and space. So you go back and say, okay, we have a pandemic. Did we have a pandemic like this one? How did we deal with it? Can we deal with it in the same way? What are the differences? What are the commonalities in terms of our research methods? Should we do, like a statistical sort of, matrix of correlations and standard deviations? Or should we do a comparative case study? Or should we do a single case study? So there are different research methods. Should we do active participation, social participation? Then the third paradigm, which is very interesting and also not tackled a lot because there is a bit of secrecy that is involved in it, which is the intelligence paradigm from the intelligence circles. And the characterizing factor of the intelligence paradigm is that generally it answers the question, what does it have to do with it? Everything has to do with everything in that paradigm. For example, you are studying terrorism. If you are in media, there was a bomb and there are some terrorist people, and maybe they are from the Middle East or that, and the name, some people say his name was Mohammed, other people say, no, actually he was Sikh, he was not Muslim. So it's this expediency. Okay. Then the police caught him, then we talked to his mother, and she told us that basically there was a sect that sort of brainwashed him or her. Then the second one is the academic. Let's study the history of terrorism. They're always like different, terroristic factions, like the assassins, even within the Roman Empire. So let's address some commonalities. And okay, then the third, intelligence, eating meat or butter and terrorism. What does it have to do with that? That's how they catch terrorism in these countries, because in the case of countries like Morocco, where they have a very good spread out intelligence gathering, which now even developed societies came to know as human intelligence gathering, basically every street almost has a person that has to report everything that is out of the ordinary in the street to the higher, management or authorities, and they do a recoupement. They do basically a mishmash of gathering or collection of all these, erratic, single out abnormalities or abnormal events, and they track them to see why. For example, in that street, there
So
is a butcher that always sells 5 kilograms of meat, just to give you an example. One night or one day, he sold 30 kilograms of instead of 5. This is an abnormality. Why? It has to be reported. When we look, we find that there was a house that bought 30 kilograms, and there were like tons of people gathering in that house, and that's when they caught the terrorist network in that house. Starting from your most insignificant, it's like with the butterfly effect, those things that you think are insignificant. So in the intelligence paradigm, and that's another problem again, we're talking a lot about diversity and inclusion, and we only like the diversity and inclusion in terms of color or gender or sexual orientation. But what about DoD? What about the military industry, where me, by virtue of being a citizen of 3 countries, by virtue of having traveled a lot, and I love traveling, and I do see myself as a global nomad, uh, I I cannot have a high security clearance, and it's actually the clearance, the way it's done, it's somebody who doesn't have a passport, who has worked in 7-Eleven, never left his town. That's the person that will get it, because basically they have to trace you and go back in all places you've been. So I've lived in Canada, England. It will take forever, and then we need. So that's from a diversity and inclusion point of view. It's basically like saying we want only these types of people to be in this. It's like in Canada, in order to work at the equivalent of the State Department, you have to be bilingual. Who are the bilinguals of Canada? Are only people from Quebec. That's why you have tons of people from Quebec representing Canadian diplomacy, because you're not gonna, you will rarely find the person from Manitoba, Saskatchewan, like being bilingual. So basically, so those are technicalities. Now it's the technique. It's through technology we come to deprive you of what you need to do. And I tell you, this is bureaucracy. This is just technology. It's like a machine. When you are dealing with the machine and it tells you, like, unfortunately, okay, you have a credit card, you have your cashback rewards. You call them to redeem your cash rewards. First, why is it when I pay, I don't have to call nobody? It's automatic. Then in order to redeem, you add an extra layer, which is me calling you. But okay, let me follow you. I call you over the phone. Oh, no, we don't do it over the phone anymore. You have to go to the computer. You go to the computer, there is a glitch in the system. Sorry, there is a glitch. So again, they send you to these so-called cold technicalities that, what are you going to fight? The machine? I mean, it's not. So
yeah,
that's something, it's the technology that has become part of our new bottlenecks.
absolutely. And that was going to bring me to this new app that I've been going on recently called Clubhouse. Have you heard
Hmm.
about it?
No?
So this is an app that you download, and there's a bunch of celebrities. You could have a different room if you want, but there's also the average person, anyone who has a cell phone and a connection anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
These rooms, the media is changing. Clubhouse is essentially changing media, and even in real time, because people are coming on reporting genocides happening in different countries. They're going into houses, pulling out women and children and shooting them. And these women are creating rooms on Clubhouse and reporting that this is happening in their country.
Mm-hmm.
So, or, it could be anything. And also, money is being generated on this site for different, um, you know, movements or different wanting to help other people in the world. So and it is kind of exclusive in a way. Celebrities are going on so that it could attract people to the room, and they're saying, oh, you can make money here if you host a room. It's almost replacing radio stations.